Hi, it's Brenda with Luke's. We are sitting here with the Designer Ruby 90, and we're going to look at the second part of our design applique features. One of the things that's come back in popularity are patches. You see them everywhere. Patches commemorating family reunions, scouting, motorcycle gangs, everything. Everyone is using patches. So what we're going to do is show you how you can use the applique feature on your Designer Ruby to make a patch that's customized for just your group. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to hoop some water soluble stabilizer, okay? So that will all go away when we're finished with our patch. We have our fabric prepared. I've got 2 pieces. Okay, we're going to call up our design for the patch. So I, of course, designed it and put it on my USB stick. And we have our design. There we go. And it says Smith Family Reunion 2021. I've got an American flag, so it will be something like you would create for maybe a 4th of July picnic or family reunion. So we have that design. Now we need to turn this into a patch. This is where we're going to use the design applique feature on our Ruby. So it's coming up. It's going to ask what shape. Well, I want a round patch, so I've got a circle. I'm going to put that away. And we see the circle is right here. Now at this point, I can choose what finish stitching I want, whether I want the satin finish, the wide satin finish, which is kind of wide for this. I'm not crazy about that, or our candle wicking. So I'm going to go back with the narrow satin. And then the other thing we can do is we can size this around our patch. So I want to leave a little bit of clearance. I think that will be just about right. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to say check mark to indicate that that's what I want. All right, so now I need to plan the order of the design. So I've got the design planning tool right here, and we see both designs. I see the circle, which of course is my patch, and I see the design that says family reunion. I need the patch to stitch out first. So I'm going to pick that design, and then right here, I'm going to move it up in the stitch order. So now that is my first design, which we need to establish the patch, okay? So at that point, I put away my tool, and I'm gonna say go. We've got our reminder screen, and now we're gonna go into our stitch out screen. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hoop on, and I'm going to get ready to go. Okay, so we're in the stitch out screen, and right now we can see our whole design. I do want to point out that when you're using the Designer Ruby or any of the Epics, I can touch this little flower button icon, and when I touch that, it shows only the color block that I'm currently stitching. So since we're doing our patch, you can see that first stitch is going to be the applique for my circle. I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and it is going to give me it's giving me the shape of the patch and the size, and it's going to stop. We hear the cutter. All right, so I'm going to pull this away. You can see the machine's asking for a change in thread. But we don't need to change our thread. It's a stop that's going to allow me to put my fabric down for the patch, which I'm placing over the circle where it's been indicated. All right, so my fabric is down. Now we're moving into the second color block. I know it looks the same, but what it's actually doing is this is my tack down stitch for my patch. Going to do the circle. Sometimes I get up close and personal with my applique to make sure it lays nice and flat. It's going to go around the circle twice to make sure that that fabric is firmly stitched to my stabilizer. All right, so the machine is asking me for the next color block, but I need to go here and I need to trim the excess around my patch. Fabric, and I'm using applique scissors. Sometimes they're known as duckbill scissors. And the way to use these is this goes underneath the fabric, hold the fabric at a 90-degree angle, and trim. You're going to be trimming as close as you can to that seam. I know this is scintillating video watching me cut, but it is a necessary step. That duckbill slides underneath the fabric so that you don't cut your project or your stabilizer. All right, I'm coming in on the finish mark. You'll notice that our next color block is the finish stitching. We're not going to do that. We're going to do the motif stitching first, then come back to do our final finish stitching. So I'm going to load up our hoop. And I'm skipping a color block. And so now, I'm going to raise it so you can see, we're going to do our text and then the motif, and then we'll be coming back to do our finish stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and start this stitching, and I will see you on the other side of the motif. Okay, so our motif has been embroidered. We've got Smith Family Reunion 2021. Obviously there's a flag because this is a 4th of July reunion. So we need to do our finish stitching. We're going to go back up to the top where we've got our 3 color blocks indicating our patch. We know the first one was for the positioning stitch. The second one was the tack down. We're going to use that second color block again. I'm going to take this off so you can see where it's going to stitch. Why? Because I'm going to take a piece of fabric and float it actually under the hoop right here. I'm going to move it up just a touch. There we go. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew that fabric to the back to cover all of those stitches and the bobbin thread on the back so it seals it in. So we're going to do that next, and then we'll come back and trim it out just like we did on the applique on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and hit go. Remember, it's going to go around twice. There we go. All right, I'm going to take my hoop off, and just like I did the first time, I'm going to trim away that excess fabric, but this time I'm trimming away on the back, so we've got a nice clean patch. All right, so you can see I've applique scissored all the way around and cut that back away. I'm going to put my patch back on the machine, and of course, the other thing you probably realized was I was using a black bobbin. All right, so now we're over here, and it's gone up to the final finish stitching, which is my satin going around the patch. And I'm going to grab the thread tail here and let her go. I'm going to trim that tail. Okay, so our finish stitching is completed. We see our patch. Okay, now look on the back. Notice that it is sealed because I put that second piece of fabric on the back, so it's a nice clean item. So when you present your patch or give it to someone, you don't have the bobbin threads and jump stitches on the back. So that's nice. We're going to take it out of the hoop. And if you remember, the stabilizer that we used was Aqua Magic. Aqua Magic is a cutaway. So I'm going to cut away the excess stabilizer. I'm doing this rather quickly. You would do this a little more carefully. There we go. Okay. So when you have that all cut away, you can take a little bit of warm water, and this will literally melt into the edge of your patch and give you a nice finished edge with no threads. And also it'll give it a little bit more stability because this actually kind of melts into a glue. And there you have it, your patch with your finished back on the Designer Ruby 90. Till next time, it's Brenda with Luke's.